Okay guys, I had a chance to go over the instructions a little bit, and they're online. They can be found on the website. However, I didn't find it directly on the website. I had to go Google it, and then I was able to find instructions for this thing. So one of the first things I want to do is just make sure, pull on these surfaces, make sure that they are glued in place. The instructions that I found online are old version where you actually have to epoxy in the hinges, and these are hinged. They're already sealed, so they should be good. I checked them good. Everything seems to be okay. So here's the pack for the wing. Has all the little linkages and everything in it. I'm going to get out the control horns. So before I install these, I just want to sand them and make sure that they'll stick to the epoxy. And we'll go like that and then insert into the wing. Okay, that's going to have to be cleaned out. How about this one? Yeah, this one needs to be cleaned out too. But for the time being, I'm going to line up that little square. And I can mark this one on the red, but the black one, I'm probably just going to have to take some tape, mark it out. So what we want to do here is remove the covering from underneath this control horn faceplate. I marked it out there. This black one, I do have a silver Sharpie I can use, I guess, and mark that one out, and then we can remove the covering. You need a good sharp X-Acto knife, and you want to cut just on the inside of the line that you've marked out. How much is up to you. Usually it's, like a 1/16 or an 1/8 inch, and you don't want to cut into wood. You just want to break the covering. And as best you can. Okay, now the wood is exposed. Clean this out with the X-Acto knife a bit. You have to run a Dremel bit in there. Clean that out a bit more. I want to do a little bit and then try them. Okay, that one's in. A little bit more now. What I think I'm going to do is just stick this linkage on here, kind of hold the right distance. Probably wouldn't, don't have to do that. Let's push down all the way. Clean off some of this extra epoxy. Okay, that should hold that one down. This epoxy is curing too quick. Alright, well, I'll do this other one off camera and I'll show you guys how it turned out. Okay, so one of the steps with this thing is to put these wing fences on. You have two types. This is all a long one that goes towards the fuselage. And you have these other two that just slip on. And they're glued on with epoxy. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take some blue tape and put tape along the edges of it. Sort of like that, to keep the epoxy from getting on the wing. And it's quite tricky not to make a mess, actually. You get it on your hands, you get it on your fingers, and next thing you know, you've got fingerprints all over your wing. So I've already done the other wing, and I'll show you that real quick. Alright, so I've got the wing fences on this wing glued in, and I did it with the blue tape. So this one, the blue tape was just holding the fence straight. And one thing, even though this is low-tack blue tape, painter's tape, it still would grab the covering and start to lift it. So probably have to go back over this with an iron. As the control horn for the flaps and the aileron, a little bit of tape stuck around there from the epoxy. So at any rate, we'll move on to the next wing. The only thing I need to do now on this, besides put the servos in, is fit the wing strut bracket on, like that. And then once the servos are in and the linkage is set, this wing will be done. Alright, so while the epoxy is curing on some of the wing parts, I wanted to take a quick look at this fuselage and see what we can see here. Now it looks like front windshield comes off. I tried to take this access hatch off earlier. It seems to be caught on something, so I wasn't able to remove it without breaking something. Now I want to see what is going on here. Looks like that slides out this way. Yep. And yeah, there's some hooks here, and then just 2 screws to hold it. So that gives you nice access to the front of it. At least I can get my hand in there now and push on this hatch a little bit, see if I can work it loose. Something holding it. I can't tell what. Okay, I managed to get the hatch loose, and what it is it slides aft and hooks in the back, and there's some hooks midway that were causing me problems. It didn't give me enough access to lift the front up to get the pins clear. These pins here, that is a problem. I'm probably going to sand these little hooks here so it can lift a little more in the front to get free of the hooks. That could have ended badly if I pried on it too much. So these are the little hooks I'm talking about, and they hook midway on the hatch, and they were just really tight, which I was not expecting. So the inside, very nice carbon fiber layered plywood. Lots of places to strap components down. You can see there's a tube. The tube right here runs all the way to the back for your servo wires, which is nice. I'm glad they put that kind of stuff in. And it looks to me like this thing has quick lock wings. Yep. So that little mechanism in there will quickly lock and unlock your wings, so you're not doing a whole heck of a lot of bolts in place. The only thing would maybe be a problem is that little bracket there has a long bolt that goes through it for the wing strut. That's probably the only time consuming thing when put it together at the field. The front of it is already laser etched for a DA70 mount, which is the same as a 60 and a 50, I believe. So I already center punched a hole and put a drill through with a 1/16 bit to get it started. And we'll move on to the next thing. Once that epoxy is dry on the wings, then we'll move on with those. Alright guys, I've got this wing. The fences are lined with tape so that I can pull these off now. These are just dry fitted. So I can pull these off now, and then I can put some epoxy on and slide them back into place. One thing to note about these is you do not remove the covering underneath. That'll cause a weak spot in the covering, and it could tear from there. The epoxy will stick somewhat to covering. So between the pegs that go through into the wing and the epoxy on the covering, they should stay on there. I'm sure I'll find a way to knock one or two off. But we'll see how long they last. I've got the wing epoxied, wing fences epoxied, and they're setting up. So I'm going to do this rudder fairing here. I'm just going to put some epoxy on here, set it in place, put the vertical stab or rudder on to make sure it's aligned properly. Tape it in place and let that cure. The rudder vertical stab will be removable on this airplane, but unfortunately, from what I can see, the elevators are not. So that is going to add to some logistics problems in the van when I go to transport it. We'll work that out once this thing is together. All right. Okay. It's going to slide the rudder on temporarily. To make sure everything's lined up right. And get some tape. Make sure this thing's taped in place. Okay. I can just move that. We'll check, make sure it's sitting flat, looks good. Okay, we'll let that cure up. Move on to the next thing. Okay, they've got all the control horns are done. They're all epoxied in place on these elevators and the rudder. And all I need to do is just remove the tape on this piece, and that's cured. And we'll move on to the next thing. All right, everyone. This stuff is most of the gluing is done. So next thing to do is get the servos installed, wires run, and start assembling the rest of it. Get the engine mounted and whatnot. So that will be in the next video, next episode. So we'll see you all next time.